I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. And look, for almost 3 years, America has been inundated and bombarded with a constant barrage of mob-style corruption from Trump, lying 12,000 times, president's henchmen being put in jail, and the president's pedophile bestie committing suicide while he was under suicide watch.
This is all wrong.
Huh? He's used his position of power to make money for his hotels and his kids, violating the emoluments clause, which is a weird word. What it means is he used his power to make bank, yo!
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster. I mean, one that you don't really know.
Which is so gangster. Unless you're the president, and then it happens to be a crime. He has wanted to date his daughter, not gangster at all. He's admitted to randomly grabbing pussy, kind of gangster. He's worked with Russia to fix an American election, and Robert Mueller said he obstructed justice 8 times. He's surrounded himself with villains, and he's destroyed the lives of patriots. But now, he's getting impeached. What is impeachment? Well, it's when a bunch of people on one side go after a president on the other side, and the people on the president's side ignore the crimes from the criminal president. And eventually, absolutely nothing gets done. That's impeachment, and how the system was designed to work. Aww. Screw off, Thomas Jefferson. Now, here's why impeachment is happening now, because it didn't happen when 11 intelligence agencies told us the Russians were working with the Trump campaign to swing an American election. And it didn't happen when the inaugural, which had close-up magic and teenage baton twirlers, had $80 million disappear. It didn't happen when the president called Mexicans rapists and then later created concentration camps where
People are suffering. People are dying.
Impeachment didn't happen when the president's campaign manager and his right-hand man went to jail for crimes in the campaign. So why now? Well, it seems that Cheeto Stalin tried to blackmail the president of another country with our money. Yep, he wanted to make the aid we were giving Ukraine to defend itself against Russia and Trump's buddy Vladimir Putin. Well, that aid was dependent on the fact that Ukraine investigate Trump's rival, Joe Biden, and his son.
I do not want to believe that.
Tone it down, Greta. So, the reality, aside from using military aid to blackmail a foreign government to screw with an American election, wait, where did that happen before? Hold on.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails.
Oh, right. On top of that, Trump sent his personal Dracula and allegedly constantly drunk undead representative Rudy Giuliani to help run the Ukraine investigation into Biden and his son, another country. See, Trump was hinting mob style that he was going to pull $400 million aid for weapons, for Ukraine, which is for sniper rifles, rocket patrol, grenade launchers, night vision, and other weapons. The stuff that we used to get at Walmart. Now, these were weapons Ukrainians could use to counter pro-Russian separatists. Oh, the money was to defend Ukraine against Russia. You mean Putin, the dude that took Crimea and has no problem invading a country? That's what Trump threatened to cut off? So Trump is now being impeached because he basically told Ukraine that, my buddy Putin's going to come over and rough you up a little bit. You're going to be invaded by Russia if you don't go after Joe Biden and his son and charge him with a crime. And then you get $400 million. Then Trump had the balls to say Ukraine was corrupt.
How dare you?
I know, right? Greta. So our president is now getting impeached because he basically threatened another country that they would have no defense against Vladimir Putin. Because, let's be honest, our president, Donald Trump, has no defense against Vladimir Putin.
I wish I knew how to quit you. Then why don't you?
I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. Coming up next, John Henson. Subscribe to the channel right now. We do this every week. Thanks, guys. So, by the way, folks, this is the Titus Podcast. With me, as always, Bombshell Ray, and our guest today, John Henson, who you just heard admit to wanting to beat the shit out of somebody.
Wait, did we started?
We did start. He was going.
I'm sorry, dude. I ran.
No, it's good. We have a lot of mess over here.
Yeah, sorry. I got
I need a wet nap.
I look over at one point, there's a pile of shit. Like we had a hoarder. Like John's a hoarder. He just showed up. He's got a pile of stuff. Like, no, it's okay. You can have it. It's yours. This is your space. I'm
actually a little bit terrified to find out how like the two of you are. Well, he often will admit to premeditated assault and or murder on radio shows or comedy specials. But
I'm a comedian. It's inherent that we don't mean it, right?
That's what I keep banking on.
Exactly. But listen, my attorney has a letter that says whenever I say I'm joking. I just think that's this. When it comes to cheating, is what we're talking about. I believe this. I never understood a guy going after another dude. Because it's not, that dude. Dudes are just monkeys. They're just dudes. The woman had to let that happen.
1,000%. And I got to be honest with you. For me, it's not about the cheating.
Right.
It's about the money.
Yeah.
That's about the fucking money.
Oh yeah. The reason I still do comedy
is because of the money.
Because of the divorce, there was no settlement. She would never settle. She would not. There's nothing we could have done. Nope. Sorry, here's half. Here's half. It's a nice chunk of change. Half. I have half. You have half. Let's go.
Right.
Nope. Want it all. And Ray and I were together at that point, and it was just like I just went through. I go, I don't know what to do here. We can't.
The injustice of what you said of the guy sleeping in the house that you're paying for, he had that as well.
It's that Chris Rock bit. Yeah.
I ain't saying he should have killed her.
I ain't saying he should have killed her, but I understand. Wait a minute. The Ferrari that I bought, your man is driving?
Yeah.
I ain't saying he should have killed her, but I understand.
I got the, hey, could you give me the GIF certification on the ring? And I go, why? And she goes, well, because I want to sell it. And I go, well, then you get it certified. She goes, yeah, I don't have to pay for that. You have it. Could you just give it to me?
Okay, did you get divorced because you caught her cheating?
Who did you marry?
No, a succubus.
Well, that's easy. But wait a minute. I have a question. So you got married. How long were you married to her?
For about just under 6 years.
What?
Yeah.
That was it?
Mm-hmm.
No kids.
And
you went through the same nightmare that he went, 15 years, 2 kids.
Yeah. I literally, and I mean, I'm an idiot because I was like, hey, where do you want to go to brunch? And she was like, I don't want to be married anymore. And I was like,
okay, that we skip levels. Hold on.
Yeah.
You have to reach it. Wait a minute. Brunch? I want a divorce.
Right.
Okay, well, you picked the brunch place. There's no, we don't have, it doesn't have to be that big of a deal. We don't have to go to my place. We can go to your place. We don't have to get divorced.
Yeah. It was just like stepping off the street corner and getting hit by a bus. It was bad.
You got it. So, guys, Titus Podcast is going. We started out like at going 60 miles an hour. It was good. I didn't mean to. I guess I should have said something, but I didn't want to be rude and interrupt you.
I feel like I came in on fire. I'm sorry.
I like that though.
Like smoke coming off of him. Let's go. I'm already going. Just record.
I was already laughing.
Dude, it was the news cycle today. I've been literally like somebody asked me in a waiting room, like saw me watching CNN. What's going on? And like I started talking so fast that you could just see the mask of horror when the guy was like, I don't want to talk to you.
So can I tell you though?
He experiences that every day.
Oh, I do. I have a problem with speaking too fast. My brain works faster than I can, form words.
Right.
That's number one. Number two is during the divorce specifically, I did this to Leno. I'll never forget it. Me and Leno were kind of friends. Like I'd go to his place. Then I went to Monterey and I just found out that my ex was seeing 2 other guys and she'd said all this horrible stuff about me, that I was abusive, that I beat her. Because I filed for divorce. Abusers don't do that. I filed because she was cheating on me and stole $230,000. So I run into Jay at Monterey and I just go, he goes, how's it going, Titus? And I'm like, you don't fucking believe it. Motherfucker. I just rolled over Leno. Like, I was like, and then she cheated on me. And then she said, I beat her. What the hell's going on? And Leno's like, nah.
Right.
Because Leno's not really the most emotionally.
Right. And you're going like, it's $230,000. Where are you going? Where are you going? Come back. Like,
and I look back on that day thinking, God, I wish I could talk to Jay and go, Jay, that day I came up to you and did that. I'm so sorry.
He's backing away from you the way you back away from a bear. chair,
He
like
was.
hands up, just
Like,
real slow.
That's good. That's how it works out. Hope it's okay.
You had a rotation of people that you would call during that time.
I had a bad.
And I was one of those. I had met him. I lived in Louisiana still, and he would call me, and then he'd call his friend Marshall, and then he would just, that's what he did all day on rotation.
And you're in Louisiana, so he's calling you at like 2:45 in the morning.
Yes.
Like he's just gotten off stage.
I was getting letters. I was getting 4 to 5 letters a day from her attorney.
Yeah.
About stuff, because every time they write a letter, it's $450.
I called up my attorney to argue over a bill. I wrote him an email disputing a bill, and he charged me for reading the email.
Of course he did.
And I was like, this is just
you are a soulless piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
okay, so you got remarried. Is that
I did,
correct?
Yeah.
So how many years in between divorce and remarry?
It was a few years. I got married again in 2010.
And were you terrified?
You know, I mean, it's like it's sort of like you go through like emotional skin grafting.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you're just like, it's starting to feel normal, but then
I built a callus up. I'm like, okay, and I raised my second wife, and I always say your second wife is the good one.
Right.
You got to get through.
You said your second spouse, and I told you you're my first, and you got very quiet.
Yeah. I am this.
Look, everybody gets a mulligan.
Your first one is happiness is possible. You just got to get divorced your first wife, and then happiness is fine.
Yeah.
You're happy now.
Yeah.
Good. And you got a kid?
I got 2 kids. Yeah. Right. I got a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Yeah. So I became aware of you first on Talk Soup, where you were just hilarious. You kind of created a genre. That show created a genre.
Well, I was lucky. I was in the right place at the right time. But, somebody said to me recently.
And with the right amount of snark. You had the right amount of snark.
It was, somebody said, and I thought this was the perfect way to put it. They said Talk Soup was YouTube before YouTube.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's a very good point. And I was watching today, I was watching some of your old stuff. And then I thought, oh, we're doing like this Armageddon update thing I do. We just do this thing right to camera and put up clips and do stupid shit. And you guys created a genre. You really
It's also
did.
Tosh, before Tosh, ridiculousness.
Before Tosh, ridiculousness, before all of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was just, dude, I was just Charlie with a golden ticket, man.
Yeah, zero talent or ability whatsoever.
I was in New York at the time, and every comic that I started out with who never stopped stand-up and are now iconic, they all auditioned for it. Like, it could have been anybody. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And I just happened to be lucky enough to get it.
The right amount of lovable, the right amount of asshole.
I think, I think?
Nice mix.
I think the best thing that we had going for us was naivete. Like, once I got the job, that was the finish line. Like, it never occurred to me that I could be fired. You know what I mean? And so
show business.
And I
made it.
All I ever thought, because as a comic and a live performer, all I ever focused on for 1,100 and some odd shows over 4.5 years was making the people in that room laugh. Like, we never thought about the audience.
Right.
I was just playing to the 4 or 5 or 6 guys in that room. And what I realized in retrospect, and what I've tried to duplicate in my career, is like, if you're having fun, the audience will have fun.
Right.
Yes.
It has to be sincere for you.
Watching the video today, it's really obvious that everybody there kind of doesn't give a crap. And that's what was funny about it. That's what made you want to watch it. I remember watching it. And then I have to say that when you got Wipeout, there's parts of Wipeout that I was on the floor laughing.
That is like such a dream job too. Like, my favorite thing in life is watching people fall and pointing and laughing. I hate to say, actually, I'm proud to say that. He fell down our stairs a couple months ago, and the suitcase that he was trying to take with him chased him. And it was one of the greatest days of my 2019.
By the way, that's a good marriage.
Slow motion Indiana Jones. I was wearing these big fluffy socks, and Nordstrom socks, and I tried to stop, and my feet went up from under me, and I was on my butt, and I'm on my butt, and I tried to stop again, and went down. I just went dun.
It was slow motion though.
And this fucking suitcase is going dun 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 dun. It was Indiana Jones at our own house, and we get to the bottom. She's trying to control herself, which is to your credit. She just goes, "Are you okay?" And I go, "Yeah, that was pretty funny." And she goes, "Bah!" She loses her mind.
Well, I think they called it Wipeout because Schadenfreude wouldn't play in the movie.
Yeah, no, nobody
You know
could
what I mean?
say it.
Yeah.
They were like Schnackenfruken. So we had this one episode. We used to watch it when I first moved out here. We moved in together and we would watch it. It was sort of our thing, you know? And there was this episode.
So mindless and fun, though. But also, people got drilled on that show.
Yes, the balls, amazing. The big balls, the best. Especially larger people that didn't work out.
Well, that's the thing. That was our show. We were like, housewife, 5'2", $195. I got a great feeling about this. You're going to be,
gonna be
no, don't look.
This
just
is
start
what
running, Like,
You had a girl who was very heavy and she had on a little hat with bunny ears or
bunny ears,
kind of ears. And I still remember this. And we recorded it and would watch it over and over. It was just the ramp. It was the beginning ramp that her feet got ahead of her. And right as she's falling, you could hear her go, hi.
There's, my favorite, example of Wipeout and what that show was and what we did to people. I was at the Magic Castle once. I got a friend who's a phenomenal magician, Doc Eason, and he goes, hey, a buddy of mine ran the Wipeout course. And I go, oh, no kidding, man. How'd he do? And he goes, broke his femur real bad. Still walks with a limp. He's in a lot of pain. And it's like, will you tell him I said hi?
Did that happen a lot?
Yeah, I swear. The femur, dude, the biggest bone in your
Did
body.
people get really jacked up hurt on that show?
They had to.
I always say, like, if you're watching a show and we say someone quit, no one quit. What that meant is like something's dangling at an angle that it's not supposed to, and somebody's got
some diseased water pool, like their bones putting through their skin, and they're like, put them in the.
Oh no, they kept. You guys kept putting them up to the next thing.
People were peeing in that water and puking in that water, and God knows what else. And nobody was checking the pH balance before you got in.
Who's got these litmus strips? You're fired. Don't put those. Don't get those near the water. What now? The punching thing, I would watch people, I've trained martial arts, so I would watch, and they would go to that punch wall, and every once in a while, you would see someone get in full out drilled, that was like Ali and Frazier, like why you did, and there's down.
Well, there's, what people don't realize is there was a guy named Scott Larson, an executive producer on the show, who was big in designing the stunts, and he controlled the hydraulics. So, like, Larson was...
There's no timing.
If something bad happened to you... It's because of Scott Larson. I'm sorry, Scott. I don't mean to out you, but that dude.
So it wasn't random. That was a dude going, no.
I mean, maybe some things were, but some things weren't.
Well, that would explain why people could never time it. You would see people like, okay, and they'd watch the wall and then go for it. That would really explain a lot.
People would be like, did anybody ever break their back? And I'm like, no, but it's not for lack of trying. Yeah, exactly. We did our job. Apparently, the spine is much more resilient than you would think.
We saw people scorpion so bad. There was a swinging thing they had to get across. And at one point, you saw people, if they just got in the wrong rhythm, man, one thing under them was going this way, other thing was going that way, and you just see their body wrap around backwards around it. Their feet were touching their head.
They were always...
And sadly, we would laugh so hard. We'd be like, oh, God, it's fucking funny.
Yeah. Oh,
and then you got to be a smart ass on top of it.
I can see the soul leave her body, Like,
and there was you were never like, ooh, that's gotta hurt. You were like, you would just come with the smartest, shittiest possible thing to say.
We were always trying to push the envelope, and ABC's whole thing was like, nobody gets hurt. Everything's fine, So I was always trying to see what I could get away with, right? And we had a woman who scorpioned so horrifically that it's the kind of thing that you would normally only see in a cartoon.
Yeah.
And she scorpioned and then lay flat for a second. And I had written the line, oh my God, do we need to get new jobs now? And then she hopped up and started running. And I go, nope, she's okay. And they were like, no. I go, I didn't say it. And they were like, nope, we know what you meant. It's out.
So you guys weren't there doing it. They would show you the footage. They cut it, and then you would write jokes to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
It was Jill Wagner, right?
Jill Wagner was a sideline reporter.
Right?
She was the Jill Wagner, Vanessa Manillo, Vanessa Lachey now did it for one season.
That's right,
but those guys had brutally long days.
Anderson
and I came in like, SEAL Team 6 and just like, banged out 4 shows in 2 days of green screens and wraps and stuff. and left. But no, they put on
They
a
were
lot
there.
of hours.
Jill Wagner always, you could tell she had a similar sense of humor. She was always trying not to laugh and sometimes did not succeed without.
You know, I feel like Wagner knew instinctively that like the course is absurd. You know, you got to peel me off the ceiling. She just had to be herself.
Right.
Like, and she wasn't trying too hard. She was just
Yeah.
genuine. She knows exactly who she is. She was comfortable on camera and would just be present with people. And it was like the perfect balance, you
Yep.
know?
It was like, let's make a deal with violence. Like, it's just crazy. Sometimes people had costumes on. Sometimes they were overhyped, and you just knew they were going down.
The last year of the show, I remember we were going into the 7th season, or as I called it, Wipeout season 7, cash grab. and so my wife had a birthday party, and it was a phenomenal theme. I encourage you guys to steal it. The theme was come dressed as the celebrity you share your birthday with.
Okay.
It was a phenomenal costume party. And I was born on the same day as Yul Brynner. So I was going full on King and I, Yul Brynner. And I have a friend who hooked me up with like a phenomenal motion picture makeup artist who spent hours doing a bald cap. Like a bald cap that was so good that in person, people were touching my head going, oh my God, you shaved your part. You know, I'm like, yeah, I shaved my fucking head for a party. But before it was even finished, I called the EP of Wipeout it was like right before the season. I called him from the chair and I go, we have to do a bald cap show. And he goes, I don't understand. Why would you be bald? And I was like, what difference does it make? I will come up with a like.
Yeah, we don't want you to mess up the reality of the show. Our show is very serious. We're like the X Games. Not at all.
Yeah.
You're not. Bald cap show. I'm in 100%. All right. So I wanted to get that out of the way. We're probably going to edit the other way. The news that hit today, it turns out, with this president, nothing surprises anybody. That he's doing mob deals with another country, like he's holding $400 million back from a country who needs weapons to fight Putin.
Yeah, nice country you got there. Be a shame if something happened to it.
Exactly. Hey, we wouldn't want nothing, you know.
Right.
Your crane, my crane.
Right.
Listen, it's our crane.
Yeah.
Let's do it that.
So just let me wet my beak. You know.
And this Biden guy, you know, he did something. Can you make something up?
You know,
make something. No, $400 million. No, you can have it. It's right here.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Right.
And we now know that he did it. I think this is. Did you see his speech today? I think he's a little rattled by it. I think maybe that's why he spoke so weird at the UN, because I think he's a little. I think this one rattled him a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, for a narcissist to have the whole world looking at him possibly being impeached, I think that would bug him a little bit.
Yeah, that is your ego being pantsed in front of 7 billion people.
Well, when you think about impeachment, you go, I thought it happened a lot. It's 4 times total in the entire time we've been around.
Yeah. And by the way, never successful.
Yeah, never successful. That's why I put that in the Armageddon update. I go, we have one side that hates the president. So they go after the president. And the other side that's for the president overlooks the criminal president and his crimes. And that way, nothing ever gets done.
Right.
And that's how the system was designed.
Founding fathers.
That's what I said. I said, bite me, Thomas Jefferson.
Nixon's would have been successful, right? He just had the class to resign, which we
Nixon
definitely
also,
are not dealing with now.
Say what you want about Nixon. Nixon wasn't this guy's level of criminal. Nixon knew what was on those tapes, and he still handed them over. He had to.
Dude,
he still followed the law.
How about this? Just Nixon continued to be president.
Right.
Like he created the fucking EPA. You know, he went to China. Like he did his goddamn job while they were investigating it.
Right.
He didn't just sit there and talk about how everybody was unfair to him all day long.
Right. He did.
And dismantled programs from the prior president.
Right. He didn't. Yeah, there wasn't a vengeance. Yeah. Nixon didn't have a vengeance thing, at least when it came to America. Trump has a vengeance thing trying to dismantle what Obama did. I don't know if he's going down. I can't believe anything anymore. We've had so much on this guy. Mueller says he obstructed justice 8 times. And nothing ever fucking happens to this guy. Nothing's going to happen.
Dude, it is, Lindsey Graham today was quoted as saying, like, if the Democrats are going to impeach him for this, they are nuts. And I immediately tweeted, I go, yeah, I mean, what's the big deal? All he did was bring up the amount of money that we give Ukraine and then ask them to investigate a political rival over and over and over and over and over. And I included 8 overs because when you see it laid out like that, you're like, Jesus, that's a lot. It's a lot in a tweet, in a conversation when you're dangling $400 million.
And Putin's on the door of Ukraine like, we are coming now.
Right,
Don't worry, you don't have weapons,
Yes.
it's trouble for you.
Open gate.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not only that, it's a former vice president, which I think creates an even greater security issue. I mean, that's what today. So did you see him? He had the president of the Ukraine and they did a press conference together. And I think just the normalization of our president bringing a foreign government leader over to have him also go, for him is crazy.
It's a fucking episode of Cops. Honey, tell the cop I didn't hit you. Look at her. Look at her. Tell him about the doorknob and how you fell.
Trump's always in a wife beater too.
This is the thing that kills me is that, people like, well, Biden did ask them to fire so did the European Union, so did the IMF,
right? So
did the administration predating that. Like his job as vice president was to carry the message,
right?
Yes.
You know,
the guy, the prosecutor, they said was really tied into the last administration, which was incredibly corrupt. Ukraine's pretty corrupt. There's a comedian. He was a comedian.
Yeah.
Do you know the guy who runs is president? Yeah. Is a comic?
No. I couldn't tell.
No,
any Ukrainian, Russian, any of those
not
guys.
The funny
by the way,
really
he wasn't even a headliner. He just meddled.
Not really.
Totally
they're not really
that.
oozing mirth. I would say that. You're right. They're not. The Ukrainians not known.
Anybody have any birthdays today?
Yeah, exactly.
No? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm prime minister now. By the way, if you guys want merch, I'm selling T-shirts. I got keychains.
He's got a bowl. All right,
Fill
guys.
out your comment cards.
Don't forget to fill out your comment cards.
It's called voting, sir. It's called voting now.
Oh, all right, whatever. You guys just fill them out.
So he's a comedian. Which is the most bizarre thing that they elected a comedian.
He also brought up Hillary's emails again today with the Ukrainian guy sitting there. Talked about Biden again today.
Crowd
with the
strike.
guy sitting there.
Yeah.
Same, whatever. All the same. Doesn't matter.
By the way, so it's going to be the new chant for when he's running for president, if they don't impeach him, which I can't believe it anymore. I just can't believe anything's going to take this guy down. When the guy knows so much, I could stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and no one would care. And he was right. Mm-hmm. He was right. It's the scariest thing for me. I
feel like the most distressing thing about it to me is not Trump's entire collapse of ethics and integrity. It is the basically concerted, coordinated jailbreak abdication of all goodwill and responsibility by the Republican Party.
That's what she said.
It is like herd mentality. Like they literally just went, if we just all huddle together and protect them, they can't stop us. Mm-hmm. And I think honestly, the calculation is with these guys that no one of us will end up on the hook for our role if we just do it as a group. Yeah. And that's why I'm a vindictive motherfucker. And I'm like, none of you motherfuckers get forgiven. You wear a scarlet letter T for the rest of your life.
That's right. So McConnell, like your legacy, bro, is that you fuck the country. Like there's blood on your hands from all these people that were shot.
He'll be reelected in 2020.
He's fucking Voldemort. I mean, that guy, honestly, I think he is even more destructive to the fabric of our governance than Trump has been. When you look at historically what he's done.
Trump doesn't know what he's doing. McConnell knows what he's doing.
He's calculating and is intelligent. And he has the criminal side that Trump has, but he knows how to pull it off.
People are like, he held that Supreme Court. Dude, he's held open 180 federal judgeships. The Supreme Court justice thing is the tip of the iceberg.
Yep.
Well, they don't know. How scared are these white men, these flappy-faced white men, that the country's going to be taken over by brown people? It's like, how scared are you that America, a country built on immigration? Because that's what it comes down to.
It's literally like the old guys in the gym that had one black guy walk out of the showers and realize how small their dicks were and went, we got to shut this shit down. You know what I mean?
I'm joining the country club. Why? Because it's small-dicked white guys, and that's where I feel special.
Dude, I did a deep dive. I did a political project last year, and I did a deep dive on the Koch brothers.
Right.
And these guys are the closest thing
Koch brother.
Closest thing to comic book villains that humanity has to offer. Yeah, do you know how the Koch brothers made their money?
Coal?
They inherited it from their father, who made his money working for Joseph fucking Stalin, ladies and gentlemen.
Are you kidding?
No.
What did their dad do for Joseph Stalin?
Oil and gas.
And so they were selling oil and gas to Russia, or and helping them drill and doing stuff like that. So they got all their money from Stalin
while he was killing 20 million people.
Oh, right. That was
right.
God, he's busy.
And they're
very busy Stalin.
I don't want to like hijack this bus, but their whole thing is their long play is constitutional revolution, right? Like they have, I think, is it like 39 of the 45 states necessary? They're like 4 shy of the number of states, and it's all Republican states. I think it's maybe 29 of 34 or something like that.
What do they want to get done?
They basically want to completely handicap Congress and the DOJ in terms of investigation.
Done.
They want to do away with, you ready for this? They want to do away with minimum wage, age of retirement, welfare, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, unions, all entitlement programs. They're extreme libertarians, right? So
it's bullshit. That's not extreme libertarian. When people say that, called libertarians, I don't want no government in my life. Well, then why? Then you fucking walk through the field to get to work, dick face.
Yeah,
and you don't get any mail,
right?
Asshole.
And by the way, you don't get to call that after you've banked $87 billion each. You know what I mean? Like I call, we're just going to cash out now, and then big bank take little bank. I guess I'll run shit. They want to do away with the popular election of senators, so that senators go back to being appointed by state governors because they're easily manipulatable through local donations.
What was their contribution to Citizens United?
They started it.
It's theirs, right? 100%.
They started it, Citizens United and Americans for Prosperity and all this stuff. They donate all this money to colleges and universities on the predicate that the colleges and universities hire Koch-friendly financial professors to teach. Like, they're literally like creating Children of the Corn. They're behind. They were the guys that bankrolled and paved the way for children
of the ethanol. Really, that's what they're using corn for the gas, which ruins cars. But
they were behind Brett Kavanaugh. I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts if you ever found out who paid Brett Kavanaugh's credit card debt and all that shit.
$2 million.
It's going to be pumped in through the Koch brothers. And people are like, yay, one's dead. And it's like, one's dead. He left $87 billion to the cause. Like, they're not going away.
So we had dinner at Kathy Griffin's house. She does kind of this no phones, all conversation dinners. And
old
there's
school,
a guest of
Hollywood
honor.
thing.
And the guest of honor when we were there was Rick Wilson. And
Republican strategist.
Yes, and who hates Trump. Mm-hmm. And he said
everything Trump touches dies, right? He's the author. He said
it's all money. Because we were saying, well, what do they have to do to get elected? He said McConnell 100% is getting reelected because she can't afford to beat him. And he can tell you the number per state that it would take to win the election. And he said he would start a super PAC, whomever he wanted to win. He would call up one of the Koch brothers, go to lunch, they'd write him a check, that candidate wins.
For $15 million. They would just blow. And
880 into 2016 and 400 into the midterms. That's what they put in.
Wow. So here's what he said. He kept going state by state. We'd go, what about this state? What is it? And he would give you the number. He would go, that's 28 million. 28 million, that's this state. I go, what if someone comes 20 million? Won't make a difference.
Yeah, it's crazy when it's all just laid out like that.
Yeah, this is the thing that I find most galling about it is you can literally you could quantify the loss of life and human suffering by doing away with all those entitlement programs, right? Like, people would die, people would become homeless, people wouldn't get medical care, they would die agonizing deaths.
So kind of like now, but worse.
Right. That to them is outweighed by the concept of any of their money going to help another person. Now, we know they're never going to feel it, right? Like, these guys don't feel the pinch of taxes.
So 87
just the idea that any of my money help you versus all that human suffering, and their attitude is like, well, people got to learn tough lessons.
So I want to point. Here's the weird thing about 87 billion, and they both have 87, so it's 100. Wow. Okay. So people, get clear on this. If you had $87 billion and someone took away $86 billion, you'd still be a billionaire. A billionaire.
Right.
That's 1,000 millions.
Right.
You would still have 1,000 millions.
Yeah. You could blow your nose and wipe your ass with $100 bills for the rest
of your life.
Right.
And you'd still
You'd earn it back in interest every day.
Oh my God.
It's like Pablo Escobar burning $2 million to keep his daughter warm when they were on the run. You ever hear that story?
No, really?
So much money. His daughter was cold, and so he burned $2 million to keep her warm.
Oh man, my dad would have never let that story die.
Oh, you
dude.
Your dad
Remember we were running
you.
from the cops? Yeah, and I burned $2 million. Yeah, wait, go pick a candy bar. $2 million.
Your dad would have burned you to stay warm.
You kept the money warm. The money's gold. Come here.
I always say that like you couldn't borrow anything in my house without finding out what it costs retail. Like if I was ever like, Dad, can I borrow the car? He'd be like, I paid $18,748 for that car. It better be in the exact same, like it just, everything, he like lived in an episode of The Price
No
is Right.
coaster on the table. That was $499. So these so we're done. Unless Citizens United goes away and we go back to some sort of system where the people in power no longer can be bought by the people with money, we're fucked. It's not going to change.
I mean, basically what you're looking at now is you got to overturn, I mean, in theory, right? You'd have to get dark money out of politics, right? You'd have to overturn Citizens United, and you'd have to put a hard cap on businesses being able to contribute.
Right, because we were talking about this.
And who would have to vote on that?
The Supreme Court, and now that's stacked, right?
Shit. We're so effed.
It really is a case of like, when people are like, they're going, it's a bridge too far to like impeach Brett Kavanaugh. It's like, is it? Because he lied to Congress.
Repeatedly.
Repeatedly lied to Congress.
So did Barr.
Yeah.
Well,
and now we know that he did.
Barr's involved in this thing now, too.
Dude, they mentioned his name 4 times, and he's the guy that was like, no, we're good. You don't have to
No
investigate
investigation. Shut that down.
Yeah.
Then he's mentioned 4 times, like, hey, you talk to the attorney general, see what you guys can work out. Then you go back to his hearing when Kamala Harris asked him, have you ever been asked to start an investigation against anyone? And do you remember that whole answer?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm struggling with the word suggest.
Yeah,
what is
yeah, exactly.
Remember when they jumped on Clinton for that depends on what the word is means.
Right.
What your definition of is.
What your interpretation of the word is.
Yeah.
And like Giuliani,
which
at this
is which means he started ISIS. There you go. That's it. Clinton started ISIS. Got it. Nailed it.
Giuliani at this point. Like whenever I'm watching him on camera, I don't know if
climb in
you've
his coffin.
noticed
Just climb in his coffin and go to sleep for a long time.
The fucking guy married his cousin. Like, let's just start that.
Yeah, right. There you go.
But like when I watch him in between answers, he's constantly like obsessively flicking his tongue around his mouth, like he's trying to pick peanuts out of his teeth. I'm like, Grandpa, you're on fucking TV. Rinse your mouth out, man. Like, what do you? He's like a cab driver picking his teeth with a card. Like,
see, it's like, what is that noise? You guys hear this? Hold on, guys, we're having a problem.
No, we take the West Side Highway. There's traffic right now.
So we were talking. Allegedly, Giuliani starts drinking about 10 in the morning.
Sure.
And there was something that happened yesterday where he just started, and we'll put this up on, where he just started screaming. It was 4 people, pundits talking.
Yeah.
And he started
Laura
going,
Ingraham.
Shut up, you moron. Shut up, you moron. Yeah, you moron. Shut up, you moron.
Idiot.
Yeah. He just keeps doing it. And I'm like, that's a drunk guy. That's a drunk guy.
The person that told us that he starts drinking at 10 in the morning did not allege it. It was the truth.
I'm alleging it because we're on a podcast.
Dude, Laura Ingraham on that, like, he was talking over her. Like, she kept trying to jump in and he kept... I don't know if you follow Laura Ingraham's brother on Twitter.
No.
He's... Like, he just was posting yesterday, like, I do not recognize this person. That is not my sister anymore. Wow. She is completely irredeemable. I will make no... Like, it was like... Damn, man. Like, this is so I would just like, I'd post that on her page and just write like, your brother hates you.
Thanksgiving's going to suck this year.
Do you follow George Conway?
Yeah, but
explain
fuck George
that to
Conway.
me. Explain that.
He's a member of the Federalist Society, dude.
But how do they, I don't get, they...
there are a lot of people that think that that's a calculated thing.
We've heard that.
And I don't know. I mean,
Good cop, bad cop.
You can lose you can lose yourself in this whole 3D chess thing, but like, there's no way around it. George Conway is part of the Federalist Society. He's one of the guys that like fast tracked Brett Kavanaugh. Like he was part of that. You know what I mean? So all
So
your
why-
grandstanding
so you
and you're
think
shitting
it's-
on Trump is like, yeah, but you're still on that side of the fence, bro.
So you think it's totally like bullshit then? You think he's just part of it?
I just think that I think it's self-serving. I think he's talking out of both sides of his mouth.
Yeah,
What
we
would
thought that too.
he or she gain from that? I guess that's what I can't figure out.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Philip.
I think that somebody like Kellyanne is smart enough. Kellyanne would be smart enough to think, let's sort of position ourselves if this thing burns to the ground, and I can say, look, I had a job, I had this to do. But
My husband was against it the whole time.
We used to at home. I
that
was always on his side.
Totally makes sense. That makes total sense. You and I would do that in a second.
Yeah,
We
Look,
already do that.
that's true. Look, I'm working for this asshole. We do
Except
this.
you're Kellyanne and I'm George.
That is true.
100%.
Kellyanne is the fucking crypt keeper. Like that
Yes, she
woman
is. She is.
Well, we
evil.
watched. You could tell that this contract with Satan, there was something she didn't read when she signed it. Because if you look at her when she started to now, she has lost her way. The joke I did was that somewhere she's got a coat made out of Dalmatian puppies because she has lost her way. She is thinned out. She's zombified. We actually did a zombie joke on the thing. We found just one simple picture. I'm like, what the fuck happened to you?
The one that frightens me is Sarah Huckabee Sanders because she seems like a true believer. You know what I mean?
Oh, she's
the
She
chick that's
is.
like, oh, and I got the bomb strapped to my vest. I'm willing to go in. You give the word,
exactly.
My brother goes, dude, the second that chick quits the White House, I know it's wired to blow. You know what I mean? Like, because...
That's what I said. She makes me want to put my vagina in a blender and puree. I can't even fathom that I am any way on the same team as she is. It is so... She believes it. I think you're right. I think she 100% believes it.
Her
She's
eyes
going
aren't
to
on
run...
the same team. How's
dude,
she on
it's like
anybody's
when I'm
team?
looking at her, I'm like, which one are we going with? Where are we? Are you pontificating and you're looking up here, or are we making eye
I
contact?
just think the one I was always trying to just get out of her head. This one
thing
I
that
was like,
really
I got to get out.
Yeah.
I got to get. This is bullshit. I've been in all the meetings.
The
I'm
thing
out.
is, I was a criminal justice major, and we learned at the police academy, that you always look what direction people are looking to determine if they're lying. And it was just like, I couldn't.
No, that's not a lazy eye. That eye
It's
is
busy.
apathetic, shiftless, on welfare. Is my 600-pound life kind of.
I think that eye,
my mom's feeding me while I play video games.
That eye's planning its Shawshank Redemption escape. It's just trying to go down the sinus cavity out to it's just always looking around to find. I got to get out of here. She's lying again. Jesus Christ! Like that.
Kellyanne's eye crawled through a half a mile of shit-smelling filth I can't even imagine.
All right, do we have an ad this week?
We do.
Who do we have?
I don't know how you just cut that brilliance off.
Oh yeah,
that was it.
I let the brilliance drop. I let it drop. It was funny. We all giggled. Now we do.
We do. This episode brought to you by Butcher Box.
Oh, Butcher Box meat.
Have you tried Butcher Box?
Wow, it's weird.
I have not.
We went from Sarah Huckabee Sanders to meat.
Yeah.
Maybe I sensed the transition.
I'm
good at segues.
You're terrible at them, actually, right at this current moment. So Butcher Box, you guys know what it is. It's you can do subscription or you can a la carte it. You can go and pick what you want to put in your box. You don't have to take what
Guys,
they
it's
say.
meat. But so basically, it's grass fed, no hormones,
Organic chicken.
organic chicken, and we would get it. And I have to be honest, Ray would cook up some of the chicken, or I would cook it up on the grill. And I have never had chicken. It was dense. It was healthier. No, because some of the chicken you buy, like when you go to the supermarket, it's like a little weirdly stringy sometimes, and it was always perfect.
Their stuff super high quality, 100% grass fed, free range organic chicken, wild caught Alaskan salmon, nitrate free bacon. So what they're offering right now, and it gets delivered, so you can be super lazy. It'll show up at your house.
And then you have this if you get the right box, you have an Armageddon level ready for you need a generator to keep your refrigerator, but there's enough meat. We're gonna survive. Yeah, we're gonna make it through the explosions. And
my grandmother's 86. She was visiting when we got a box. She had pork chops in her purse. She was leaving to get on the plane
because they were so good. She goes, I'm taking these home.
No,
on the plane.
Were they cooked?
No, they were in a frozen. Like, how are you taking those home?
They'll defrost by the time I get home, and they'll pop them in the oven.
It's a 5-hour flight.
I was like, no.
Exactly. She was dead serious.
She had a roast and 2 pork chops. So all you have to do right now, you get ground beef for life, which is pretty crazy. I don't even know how that's possible. 2 pounds of ground beef in every box for the life of your subscription, plus $20 off your first box. Go to butcherbox.com/Titus or enter promo code @Titus.
And that's it.
I didn't need to say @.
No, you didn't.
I needed to say.
Want to do it again, or are you good?
Well, let's do it again.
All right.
All you need to do is go to butcherbox.com/Titus or enter promo code Titus at checkout.
Perfect.
Hey.
All right.
Boom.
So you live local now. You live like close to the studio.
I live like
a
a couple of miles from here.
How do you like living in the Burbank area?
I just moved. I just moved to Toluca Lake. I love it.
There is a lake
I
in there
love
somewhere.
Toluca.
There is. I didn't know. I was like, "There's a lake."
I told her. I go.
Only rich people are allowed to know that
beyond
there's
these
a lake.
walls, where like the richest people in the world live, there's a lake.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
And
it's
Bob
nuts.
Hope. I guess Bob Hope owned almost all of everything around the lake for a long
I
time.
live like a block away from his property.
So you're in the
wow.
area where everyone from Los Angeles and surrounding counties descends at Halloween to trick or treat on buses, right?
It is fucking Mardi Gras for the
Yes.
8-year-old set.
So
it is unbelievable.
we used to live right by there, so we were supposed to be there, and we would take his kids trick or treating and just get hammered because all the adults are walking around with drinks and
Yeah.
stuff and just getting trashed.
Yeah, we lived up the hill behind Universal, so we would go down, and that neighborhood was awesome.
I used to live in Studio City, and they bust kids in that neighborhood. And we lived on a street where it was huge. And one year I went through 127 pounds of candy.
Wow.
It was almost $500 worth of candy. And I moved to Toluca Lake, and the people next door to me went, that's not going to cut it.
Yeah, not 100%.
You gotta-
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Yeah, you got to start budgeting. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
You need a candy
So
fund.
people don't understand it. So there's this neighborhood in Toluca Lake, and basically kids, families bus in
from Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Well, also some of the people I mean, some people are in Toluca Lake are happy they're building the wall because they're just going to build it just in our neighborhood, so
Right.
on Halloween we don't
Right.
die.
We're border town.
Yeah,
Right, aren't we?
yeah. And people are coming up. We went there one year, and it was insane. That was your. We made my kid the Tin Man outfit.
You don't understand, people. Like, there are buses showing up,
Yeah.
and you have to walk like this to get through.
Like
at
he said, it's
peak
Mardi
times.
Gras.
It
It's like
is
Mardi
crazy.
Gras.
And people decorate.
Yep.
There's a couple houses that really go
Yeah, they have
all
like
out.
a contest. It's
Yes.
it's insane. This will be our first
You gonna do it this year? You gonna
Halloween in
you
the
gonna-
house. I think we
You gonna get a robot?
You know what I did, man?
It's coming up,
I
man.
just
Halloween's
put up a
coming up.
property gate, man. Like I put up a pedestrian gate where you got to buzz in.
Oh,
And so I was
yes.
like, we're putting up like a not home, went trick or treating sign, and we're taking the kids out.
Right.
Because otherwise you're just a hostage, man. It's like a wedding receiving line. Like your kid steps up, you give them candy, and they
Totally.
the next kid's like front of the groom. You know what I mean? And
Otherwise, you're a hostage.
you really, it's
and
just
honestly,
endless.
some of those children are 6'5". I mean, let's be honest.
My wife's thing was like every year in Studio City, she was like, let's shut it down when there's like a 48-year-old man without a kid who's not in costume. That's like,
Always.
I think we're done.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that neighborhood was a trip. We have a lot of good memories there.
Yeah, the guy who says he's dressed as a hobo, but he's actually a hobo. That's time to stop.
We have
Yeah.
a friend who had a house.
Get all his belongings on a stick and a handkerchief.
Oh, this is nice. Cut, you're a hobo.
Yeah,
I prefer
Yeah.
homeless.
yeah, exactly. Technically, I'm a railroad jumper.
Actually, that's brilliant. I didn't think about that. I work with the homeless, and I didn't think about that. I should suggest that as a program on Halloween because all my guys love candy. They all want sugar. That's all they want. And they could just go get free and just pretend they're in costume.
There you
Yeah.
Social program. I just came up with it. We had a friend that lived on Clybourne right there
Yeah.
in Toluca Lake. And his whole thing was he didn't really have candy or anything, but he would take turns with his friends and they would get in this scarecrow costume with straw coming out and then collapse across the front bench on the porch
Yeah.
and just scare the shit out of every kid
Yeah.
that tried to come into the yard so
Yeah.
they didn't have to give out candy.
Yeah.
And if you really pose arch weird, so you look like a bag
Yeah.
of a straw, man, it's awesome.
You
dude.
sure?
You just
Yeah.
not- and then just go like this, and it's to watch little children
Yeah. Go
evacuate their bowels on the front steps.
get
It
into
is-
that with your
it's
talking
so-
doctor on Tuesday.
It's so
Your
awesome.
talking doctor. A lot of kids going to talking doctors in
Yeah.
LA.
Yeah.
His daughter went to a school not far from here, and he asked the mom on Monday, "Oh, how was Olivia's weekend?" And she said, "Well, she spent the weekend with her therapist, so I think we've made progress." And she was 5 years old. So,
Wow.
yeah. I think mommy needed a therapist more than anything. So
That's frightening.
it's really frightening. You talking to Peasy?
No, not at all.
How old are you have one kid?
I have two kids. I have a 15-year-old and an 18-year-old.
Oh, I can't even wrap my head around that.
18
man.
is we paid off the 18-year-old, which is good. 18's paid out of the, got the
Off the books.
I didn't get the pink slip.
Off the
but,
books.
yeah, she's
One to go.
and went through a really bad divorce. Your divorce was what it was. Add kids in the kids are just in a divorce. Kids
Sure.
are just hate grenades to pull a pin on and
Yep.
use them against each other. So, and that's what we have. And so it went bad for a long time. It was let's don't talk about it,
Dude, I always say, man, I always say that, like, if for people that have never been divorced, I'm like, if you want to know what it's like, think of the person you hate most in the world and buy them a house.
and then
That's
and
what
then-
it's like.
Yes.
It's like
None
it
of
is,
that. No, someone makes you buy them a house. The court,
That's-
the law makes you buy them a house.
literally, but like, if you think about how bitter a situation has to be, that in order for you to get out, you have to give somebody real estate, and your idea is like, deal.
Yeah.
Let's
Right.
make
Perfect.
this. I'll
That makes
sign it over
sense.
right now.
Yes.
Let's get it done.
Yeah.
Like, that's how bad
And you're
it is.
happy about it. Here,
Yeah.
take, just get away.
Yeah.
See, there's a cure to a divorce without kids, but if you have kids, it makes it like an incurable STD.
During your life forever.
It's
yeah.
forever. Not, I don't mean the kids, but he's
I was
like,
gonna
yeah,
say, I
kids
wasn't
are in
quite-
your
but it's
life
like you're-
forever.
that
by the
person
way,
is a
I was
part
in the
of your
gray
life.
area. I was
Person,
like,
yes.
kind of.
No, well, you got it because you had sex and now you can't get rid of her.
Yeah.
Kids are great. The person is not so much, but yes, it does connect that person to you for the rest of your life, especially if they won't.
But you're
move
done
on.
now. You're out. You're out of yours. It's got
Yeah, no, I'm done.
Oh, because she waited to the last payment and then got married.
Yeah. Although I will tell you, man, this is going to sound way too evolved for
Enlightened,
the amount
yeah.
of hatred I've vomited onto your podcast. But
In the first 30 seconds.
I had a
Like it started.
as I was getting out of my car.
Yeah.
And another thing.
You started as a Sith Lord. You were just like, yes, bitch. Bah.
But I had a moment recently where I let it go. And I'll tell you why. And I don't know if you can get there. Maybe you can one day if you're not there now. But
No, I did now. I don't have any. I'm not connected to it. I just know that person. It's almost like it's weird. It's a detachment. Go finish your thing. But it's attachment. Like I was never connected to Charles Manson. You know what I mean? Like yeah, I know he was there. I know we killed a bunch of people. It's horrible. He's dead now. Good.
Right.
Moving on.
I think for me, it was, I heard this guy say something and it blew me away, man. I was like, whoa. He goes, nobody ever denied me anything it was in their power to give me. To the extent that a parent or a spouse or a friend let me down, I need to remember that they were doing the best they could with the tools they were given. And I had this moment where I looked at the way things broke apart in my marriage and I went, happy person doesn't behave that way.
No.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I found a place of I don't need for you to lose for me to win. Go with God. I hope you're happy now. Honestly, I hope you're happy, man. I hope you found whatever it is you were looking for. I'm glad I'm not in the blast radius anymore.
Yes.
But I just kind of, it takes too much energy to keep it alive.
Well, hating them only hurts your life, not theirs. It gives them something to push against so that they feel righteous in what they're doing. But if you just don't care, the worst thing we ever did was just shut off the email, move away and give a P.O. box.
Nothing
That made her
incensed-
explode. It was like,
Nothing incenses someone more than you not giving that they're incensed.
yes.
You just
Dude,
don't
you
give a
can't
shit.
fight somebody
You
who
just
doesn't
don't
fight
care.
back.
You don't-
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Oh no, she did. She's got
No,
where.
us.
No,
He means-
we didn't fight back. But I'm just saying that us not fighting back and not giving amped it up for
One
a
of
minute.
I found an uncle later in life, and he told me he had this final fallout with his adopted sister, and he said he really just got that in that moment, and he looked at her and he said, "You don't matter." And he walked out of the house and never spoke to her again. And he said it was the first thing he'd ever said that made her speechless, and he really meant it. And I thought, wow, that's the deepest thing you could say to someone to end an argument. You don't matter.
There's a book called You Can't Make Me Angry. and in a nutshell. And I haven't read it, but I'm going to speak authoritatively on what it's
Good,
about.
perfect. Because I go that book's bullshit.
It's like
I got to drive home. I'll be angry by 4 corners.
I was talking about Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, and I literally said to a guy, I've listened to almost a third of it on audio tape, and let me tell you what it's all about.
Let me tell you what this book means to me.
But the book is essentially the idea that you have to give somebody the power to make it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have to imbue them with that kind of power. And when you just like find the plug and pull the power source, it just doesn't matter. It's just like, woo.
It changed absolutely everything in our lives, in the divorce and all of it when we did pull the plug. We were like, okay, you got all that, enjoy that. Now you'll never talk to us again. You'll never know where we live again. So you can't sit outside of our house in the dark and take pictures. I mean, any of that, and we just went away.
Right.
And it was the most freeing thing we've ever done. It changed everything. We took the power away.
The great thing is that you can apply that. If you practice it in your personal life, like on social media, you have to apply it too. You have to just pull the plug.
I'm sorry, what?
No,
this is you?
I'm just saying. No, I'm saying there's a certain level it gets to where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make fun of you 3 more times, and then I'm blocking you. There's a point when there's people that go out of their way to be, whether it's relationships or online, they go so far out of their way to try to get you to react, and it's so transparent. You know, loser comedian, his career's over. Is that what you got? Is that the best?
Well, you got me. 30 years in comedy, 25 years in TV. You really got me. It's
always.
Alonzo Bowden was the guy that taught me that, man. He would literally, to this day, if I start engaging with a troll, sometimes I'll just get a text from him and I'll go, "You're doing it again." and he called me out one night and he's like, "Dude, you are responding to a guy with 12 followers."
This is what I tell him. You're talking to people with less followers than a duck.
Right. But sometimes, and I think you do the same thing too, it's kind of like sport hunting.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's like when someone tees it up and you're like, I have to do this. Yeah. And then you get like your response to the idiot is funny and snarky enough to where it gets so much traffic. The response, and that guy, and my favorite is tweet deleted. Oh, yeah. Really?
You know when I do it all the time?
I get it.
You're both sick.
Yes.
Oh,
wait,
on a plane.
It's a virus.
If I'm on a plane, I'm literally just like, I got 4 hours. Let's start some shit. I literally will I'll go to
hang out.
Do you know who John Cardillo is?
No.
Like crazy right-wing former New York City cop. Like I'll just be like, let's go over and whack the hornet's nest and just see. And then it's just waves breaking on the beach of just right-wing trolls. And I'm just like, it's like a video game. Pew, 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 pew,
Yeah, you guys can never.
They're not creative though. They're not creative about it. I would like every once in a while you'll get somebody that's that will go back and forth with you for like 30 things, which is pathetic that I said that I will stay that
30
long.
30 to 40.
Yeah.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it'll be like, hey, dude, I'm still a fan. I still think you're really funny. This was fun. And I'm like, dude, you know what? That was fun.
Right.
We just like basically had headsets on playing video games, except we were doing it with intellect.
I don't know if you've ever had, I've only had this less than a handful of times where I've actually gotten to the point with somebody where they've gone, I don't know, man. I'm going to have to think about that. Yeah. Like where you just plant the seed of doubt and they're out of comebacks because you've, completely ripped the blankets off of all of their right-wing talking point, fucking bullshit conspiracy theories. And they're like, oh, I don't know, you got a point. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Wow, dude. You and I can't not hang out. We can maybe go to a function, but we can never be on a road trip would never. No. What has?
Yeah. Let's go to the South.
Yeah, we should go to the South, and we're gonna tour.
Who else is the two of you? Richard Marks.
No,
Richard. The three of you together. Holy shit, he enjoys it too. It's his favorite thing. It's like a pastime.
I'm smelling a righteous indignation.
Oh, God. Yes, the three of you. Do you follow him?
I don't think I do.
You need to go follow
Really?
Richard Marx. Yeah, very cool, very funny guy. I first started following him
Wait,
because
Richard Marx, the actor?
The singer.
Yeah, the singer?
Yeah.
Don't mean nothing.
He was on the
Words of-
podcast,
yeah.
and it was frightening. But
No,
and
the reason he's on the podcast because he started following me because I was going off with some dude. And he's like, yeah, and he jumped on board, and it was just him and I riding. We were both on horses.
Yeah. Get in the passenger seat.
We were just beating the shit out of this guy, and then I DM'd him like, hey, you want to be on the podcast? Oh, your podcast? Fuck yeah! So, didn't even care if he listened to it. He was like, yeah, let's just talk about it, and he got into it. Well, I just don't understand this, and we trying to give us your theory. We're going to start asking this to every guest. Why do these people who have this amazing amount of evidence in front of them about how corrupt and fucked up this presidency is, inept, illiterate, inane, clumsy, literally against democracy, how do they keep following this guy? What happened? What cult of personality? This guy is just he's not.
I have some theories on it,
about
man.
All right,
I would love to hear this.
I do. I mean, first of all, I think there's a variety of POVs that you can, however you come at this. Like, first of all, I think what we are seeing is the fruits of like 20 plus years of Fox News gaslighting. Like, it's what we're seeing is like they slung every political party has corruption. Every political party has greed and power hungry people. But like they flung monkey shit at the Clintons for 25 years until people are like, no, man, they've killed 38 people. And you're like, what are you talking about? Fucking Comet Pizza. Like,
but
you know what I mean?
Hold on. They killed that many people and got away with it for this long?
Right.
Like,
and she couldn't become president? You can fucking kill 38 people and get away with it and run a global fucking, Illuminati enterprise, and you can't become you can't come up with enough electoral. So there's that. There's the just sort of the I've been eating the steady diet of bullshit for so long that it is now my baseline viewpoint, right? I think you're talking about largely, there's two classes in my mind of Trump supporters. There is the ignorant, non-college educated, or college educated and ignorant, latently racist, like the kind of xenophobic. Not really
latently. Not of them aren't latently racist.
And it's like my life didn't turn out the way I thought it would. I don't think I'm racist. I just think we're better than they are. And those people now have like a cheerleader. You know what I mean? They're like they're rushing the gates. And I also think that there is maybe a more frightening, smaller component of the people who it's just financial expedience. It's just this guy is the gateway to a bunch of money for me, and I don't give a fuck what he does to this country or marginalized groups as long as I make money.
Imagine being a corporation. Let's say you're a corporation and you make your company. You have a $1 billion corporation, and the corporate tax rate just dropped 15%. Now, say what you will, you could not even be a Trump supporter and be like, oh, how much am I'm going to make an extra $14 million on my taxes this year?
Dude, if I paid you if ABC paid you $14 million to do a show that wasn't funny, you tell me you wouldn't fucking stomach it and spit those lines out, right? Like sometimes you got to grin and bear it, right? Yeah. And then the other thing is, I think that there are a number of people who are just pot committed. Like they've got so much, it would tear down their whole worldview, right? Yeah. It would be the pin that makes their entire worldview come apart. And the one thing that I think they come back to is not necessarily their faith in him, but their hatred of the other, whether that's globalism or the coastal elites or brown people.
Do you notice
socialism?
Have you heard something? I was doing something. We do these Armageddon updates, and they're pretty. We try to make them really funny, but I was let my kid listen to them the other day, and I was listening to them. I realized, wow, there's a lot of information in that. Like it's almost like history with jokes and like current affairs with jokes, and some guy said, what did he say to me online? He was talking about, Hollywood. Yeah, dude, it's easy to talk like that with your gated community and your armed guards. The fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Like, what are you talking about?
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for thinking that's who I am.
Right.
But
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, dude,
what?
you were on cable TV. You're a billionaire. Like, you know what I mean? That kind of like, but it is like, you know, I mean, here's what it is for them is like, feelings aren't facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not able to admit that. Like they hold on to, but I feel this way and I've been told I'm right and I can't let go of my feeling. How can you tell me that I'm not justified feeling this way? I feel it so passionately. It has to be right. Look how much I feel it.
Their parents believe that. My friend Greg, who's African American, he said that he just told me this morning that he feels like Trump is, you know, he's just a symptom. Trump isn't the problem. And he said he felt like he kind of ollie Oxenfree's racist and sexist and people like that. He said he had a client that comes in from Orange County. He said she only dates Black football players. She's a little blonde Orange County chick and she loves Trump. And so he said, I just had to ask her. And I just said, well, you know, what do you support abortion, pro-choice? What do you think about global warming? Absolutely, it's happening. And he just went down the list of everything. He said, well, really, you're just a moderate liberal. And she freaked out. And he said, I think it's the identification of
Foxes beat
liberals or socialists. So it's all tied in with the word Democrat. And
it's all the underpinnings of all of it is bullshit. Like the whole, like, show me one fucking politician who's campaigning on open borders. Show me one.
I know.
Who is out there going, no, man, let everybody in. Yeah. You know, show me one politician. That's why,
let's abort them all. Come on.
You know,
let's just build a car wash with an abortion with the stirrups in it. Just bang, ding. No one's doing that. You're right. Yeah, and yet. They bring that up. Socialism. These people don't even know what socialism is.
No.
They don't, you know.
You're using socialism.
And he is successful and classy to white trash. Yeah. Like when white trash sees your name plastered on buildings and the gold toilet and the fucking hot European wife, they're like, damn, man, that's my dreams. Yeah. Like they don't look beyond the like, he failed in a casino.
4 times. He bankrupt 4 casinos.
Yeah.
He couldn't sell water, steak, or vodka. As I said on last week, that's shit that keeps people alive. Yeah. He couldn't sell it.
Busted for money laundering in a casino multiple times.
Yeah. With daddy.
And busted for racism because there was no colored people living in his buildings at all. And all the applications had a C.
His dad was
had a
busted
C
at
in the corner.
KKK rally.
He's the puppet.
He was. Dressed in robes.
Yep.
He's the puppet. And then I heard, no puppet, you're the puppet.
No puppet, you're the puppet. I'm not a puppet, you're the puppet.
He's the puppet of people like Mitch McConnell. Yeah. They are using him, Putin, people like that. He's not the guy. He's just the dummy.
Yeah, he's the fucking insult comic. It's Don Rickles as
he's
president.
Walter.
Yeah, my theory is that this system is going to crash. My system, it's going to crash worse than it ever has. It's going to be worse than the 30s. It's going to be while he's president, and it has to be like because no one smart would take that job. They all know shit we don't know.
Okay, everybody, this has been Happy Thoughts by Christopher
Titus. Tell me about what happens.
But then they can go, then 10, 15 years ago when we're coming out of the ashes and the smoke is no longer and the fires are out, they're going to go, fucking Trump, this fucking idiot. This idiot did it.
Yeah.
This idiot did
it. It's Don Johnson, a boy and his dog, just wandering across, the post-apocalyptic landscape, eating dog food, and all of a sudden
what happened? We had this weird president who was a reality television star. That's what happened.
They will spend decades unraveling the amount
corruption
of shit.
Absolutely.
The amount of before I came
or
here.
Or maybe not. Maybe it's because it's not. This is not like. Because I don't think the conspiracy is so deep. I think the guy's just a flat out wannabe mob guy who's in New York, knew those mob guys. Cohen is obviously, Michael Cohen is obviously, really connected. I thought the most honest thing we saw was his testimony from Congress. He was like, listen, I'm worried there will not be if this guy doesn't get reelected, there's not going to be a peaceful transition of power. He said that, and we were like, hey, does anyone
Yeah.
That's the guy who fucking knows him. That's the guy that knows him.
Let's
that
go
guy
back
hangs out with him. Like, holy shit, that's his buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like my best friend going, by the way, he's really an ass.
Yeah.
He's probably going to shoot somebody.
Right.
I'm
yeah.
like, hey,
There's
Yeah.
just so
Titus will pull the
much.
pin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so he said this morning, he said something about, because I was going on about this Ukrainian thing and what he's saying, and he goes, what about the campaign finances that they have just disappeared? How much?
$100 million.
$100 million from the inauguration.
Some of it went to Melania's best friend. who
28
ran an
million. Just
interior
28
design
million though for the
company.
party planning.
So we're cutting together this Armageddon update, and I was looking at it, and I went to the acts that performed. It's literally 13-year-old girls spinning batons.
It's a fucking state fair. They spent $100 million on a state fair.
Yeah.
It was 3 times what Obama spent.
But
on
you
his.
forget. I was like, I forgot about that $100 million misappropriation. And it's because there's so much.
And the saddest part about
stuff
that is that those were donations. The saddest part
from
about
the
that.
people that
Yes.
still support him.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the
And
saddest
now
part.
you got Brad Parscale getting a piece of every ad buy, getting a piece. Well, now he's saying he won't do it, but it's like he's getting a piece of donations. Like, people were like, I don't understand. You could get the best campaign manager in the world for like $100,000 a year. They're paying this guy $10 million so far in 2019.
Yep.
It's nuts. It is. And I honestly, like, I started right before I came here. I was like, I just want to brush up on. I started looking through things like, oh yeah, fucking Tom Price. Oh yeah. Ryan Zinke.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Fucking Scott Pruitt. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, and you just start, it's like they flood the zone with so many scandals. It's just a target rich environment. You start forgetting stuff.
No, you can't. We couldn't list them. If I had to do an Armageddon event where I listed what he did, I always list a couple, 3 or 4. If I had to list all of them, it would just be it would be a 4-hour.
It'd
be an Oliver Stone miniseries.
Dude, and we haven't forgotten about you, Eric Price. We're coming back for you and your fucking meeting you know what I mean? Like that guy, the meeting
that's right.
on the island, like sitting down with the Seychelles with the UAE and we just happened to be. I bumped into him. We had
by
a beer.
the way, Saudi killed an American resident reporter, and we were like, yeah, it sucks. And we moved, and
now we're about to go to war on his behalf.
And there's concentration camps currently running in America. We're just going to move on. This is where I get scared.
The religious right. Let's put kids in cages. I'm pretty sure Jesus was like, yeah, man, I fucking hate the downtrodden. Yeah. They suck. And I'm not big on kids. I'm not a kid person.
Not at all.
Not a big fan. Not a fan.
Didn't I say something about screw the children?
I think in the original testament, it was turn water into barbed wire.
Yeah, exactly.
And thou shalt carry an AR-15 because that's a God-given right.
Dude, when the fucking gun industry does more to protect Americans than Congress, when Colt goes, hey, you know what? I think maybe
the guys who made the guns go, we probably shouldn't make these anymore. What do you guys? And the NRA's like, we're cutting out Colt. They
when
fed my family for 4 generations. I'm going to fold this hand.
Walmart gets involved. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's time. By the way, I think a lot of people didn't know that you were this deep into this. They're like, oh, it's John Henson. He's going to be a little snarky, kind of schmooky-dookie-bookie.
First of all, I feel like I owe you guys an apology because I don't know that I've taken a breath in the entire time I've been in here. I apologize. As you can tell, I like to talk about stuff.
By the way, perfect.
But I'm not kidding you, Titus. I do this almost full time now. Like, I would say, so I get up. Do you get up early?
No.
All right. I get up at
what are you talking about? I'm usually late before you.
Please.
Oh, please shut up.
Please.
Oh, stop it.
Get coffee.
You knock it off.
You get coffee delivered in bed.
All right,
what
that's
are
valid.
you talking about?
I get up around 5.
Okay. No.
Wow.
Sometimes 4:30.
What? So did you cross over into old man hours? What happened?
You know what it is? It's because what I did is I started taking my 2 hours to myself. I went from taking it after everybody went to bed, from like 11:30 to 1:30.
That's what I do.
To taking it from like 4:30 to 6:30 or 5 to 7
in the morning.
And I get up and I drink 10 cups of coffee.
Oh,
just the 10.
I thought you were going to say I drink some bourbon.
No.
That's what I do after my late time. But if in the morning coffee.
Dude, I drink just enough coffee to bring me to the brink of a seizure, and then I switch over to water. And I spend 2 hours obsessively reading. I am constantly refreshing the news cycle throughout the day. And then after put down, from 7:30 or 8 until I fall asleep with my mouth open in front of the television, it's in like another 2 hours. And I've been like this for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I can clear a fucking room at a parent social. Like, I'm kidding you.
Me too. I'm also like this. It's weird because we've gotten so weird about it, and then we got to wrap. Is that people like they'll go, yeah, I don't think Trump's that bad, and it's like, what?
You always first go, tell me why. I want to hear your reason.
No, yeah, I don't say it like Eastwood.
Trust me.
Well, I want to hear why you think that.
He becomes an 80s hat comic.
Dude, honestly, that's why when you were like, do you want to do the podcast? I was like, I literally wanted to respond, I'm here. I'm here right now. I'm out front. Come let me in.
I am making a motion. I've never done this before.
Nope, I'm already in. We're
Henson Part 2 podcast.
Definitely. Definitely.
Because I feel like we haven't even touched on
I thought you were going to say we can't hang out, but we need to. So what we're going to do is we're going to make
we go on the road and it's called the All Comers Tour.
Yeah.
And it's just me and you, two mics going, you, then that guy, then that motherfucker in the back, then the guy behind him. Let's go.
Yeah. Have charts and shit.
Yeah,
exactly. We'll have a guy with a gun that just shoots knowledge into their brains. There you go. There's the article.
Like a nail gun.
Yeah.
Titus Henson debate team. Now, I would pay to go see that for sure. Anyone that wants to come, bring your facts, bring your info. You can come on stage and debate for 4 minutes.
I would do that with you, man. I would literally, I would sit next to you and be like, we'll take on anyone.
I will tell you this. If this guy wins, we're doing it. We're just going to do it.
If he wins again, you mean?
Yeah, if he wins again. Okay,
you heard it here.
We're doing it. We're going to go on there.
Titus Henson.
I might have to vote for him now. I kind of want that to happen.
Wow. You want to do the news?
I love that idea. No, I don't think we need
Can I just give one plug, a political plug that's not me? A buddy of mine, Jason Berlin, Harvard Lampoon guy, wrote for me on a number of shows. Brilliant guy, great comedy writer, gave up his comedy career to go into full-time political activism.
Wow.
He is a regional manager for the Democratic Party here. He runs something called Field Team 6. Field Team 6 is a Democratic registration arm. They've registered over 12,000 new Democratic voters. Those guys identified 10 congressional seats that they could flip in California, including deep red Orange County. They flipped all 10. These are like the boots on the ground guys that are making a difference. And the only reason I bring it up is, if you want to make a political donation, just understand, we get this White House and we do not get Senate. It does not fucking matter. Nothing will change.
Right.
You got to start. They've opened up offices in all of these different swing districts. They've identified senators that they think are vulnerable and started teams there. They're down to like $4 per head for a new Democratic registered voter. They operate on a very, very tight budget. So if you want to make a political donation, look up Field Team 6 through Act Blue. Make a donation to those guys because they're doing.
I will say this:
they're doing the good work.
Yeah, we don't
if the ideas on the right were ideas for America and for the normal American, where they weren't trying to kill unions, where they weren't trying to stop voters from registering, where they weren't trying to come up with laws, and where they were like, nah, gerrymandering's bullshit. Let's make it so it's fair. If they were like that, I wouldn't have this party thing. I don't give a shit about Democrat Republican. My gut goes, that's wrong. Like, that's wrong. So when we get all this Democrat Republican, I'm like, no. I'm going to vote for the dudes that are, if we
could have a federal election commission that had a majority to make a vote.
There you go.
You literally make a really good point. And that is, like I always say this, there are rational people who subscribe to Republican solutions to socioeconomic policies or problems rather. And that's a valid choice. I don't agree with them, but it's a valid choice. This is not about that.
They don't have those anymore. No. There's no platform. What you just described for the Republicans,
this is an airborne mental illness.
They don't have it anymore. There's no. It is not. It's and the weird part is that the Jedi mind trick they have played on the followers. You see a guy makes $24,000 a year, and he's like, I'm public America, dude. They're fucking you left and right. How are you still backing these people up?
Well, Cindy McCain came out today. Barbara Bush already said it, but Cindy McCain came out and said, this is not the Republican Party that my husband and I gave our lives to.
Wow.
So she's disassociating.
But the only reason they get to do this is because the average Joe is backing them up. As soon as they lose that public support, it all falls apart. And it's like, dude, they're trying to take away healthcare from 32 million people.
And guess what? I'll be able to afford healthcare. I'll be able to go get fixed.
Well, you live in a big house behind the gates with your $1 billion
with the armed
TV
guards
money,
and the armed guards and the helicopter on the roof.
Yeah,
What
right.
are you talking about?
Yeah, fuel up the jet.
Yeah, it's crazy when they think like, what do you? I'm doing a podcast in a warehouse.
They want to.
What are you talking about,
dude? Don't say that. You have put tens of dollars into this, and it looks
don't lean on this. Do not lean on this. It will explode.
Oh, real quick, do you have a Prince story?
No, I asked him already.
No Prince story, and all.
But he
these
did
years?
say Prince got him laid a lot in high school. So.
Yeah.
Well, there's his story.
Yeah.
It got him laid. Did it have anything to do with your first marriage?
I tell you what, the closest thing to a Prince story I have is I too loved opiates.
Me too.
So I did, and I got to tell you, in terms of connections, that was pretty good.
Also a fan in high school and college, and then after, and then before, and
Still think it was his final joke. Let's go crazy. Don't let the elevator bring you down. Died in an elevator. I think he was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna leave.
Right.
No one's gonna figure this out.
Yeah, exactly. See how long it takes them.
Titus got it.
Of course you would.
Guys, we're gonna be in Alabama. There's gonna be Huntsville on Friday.
Huntsville and Birmingham on Sunday.
Huntsville doing one show on Huntsville Friday, and then Pete Davidson is doing the second show.
Pete Davidson, we're gonna hang out.
And then on Saturday we're doing Huntsville. Then we're going to Birmingham for one show. All new show stories I shouldn't tell. My 9th 90-minute special. It is probably the best thing I've ever written. I would say, as Rachel says, it makes Norman Rockwell's bleeding look like a puppet show.
It does. And also, we're going to close this because your aunt just texted me a picture of you, and I'm going to show it to you guys. But Peasy, you're going to close out on this picture of a young Titus. Completely naked
look at that.
in a wagon. It just popped up on my computer screen, so this is
he
going
hung like a bear.
Oh my God! Stop.
That's young Titus going. Wait a minute. Do I have a hernia? What is that?
He is.
Hold on a minute. Coughing.
Yeah. Why are you? What are you? Oh.
Yeah.
Do you see how he was already 6 feet tall?
It looks like he's working the taint there. It looks like he's going, hey, man.
Dad, I was taught as a small child to check my prostate.
Yeah. You guys, there's pleasure to be found in the perineum. The perineum.
Hey, what is that?
Yeah. Hey, there's a landing strip back here.
Hello.
So, by the way, this week, guys, we're going to be in Huntsville again, Birmingham. Next week, we're going to be in Chico, California.
No, we have a week off. It's our birthday weekend.
We're not going to be there. It's our birthday
Chico,
week.
El Rey on the 11th, Fresno Tower Theater on the 12th, Livermore Bankhead Theater on the 13th, and then Vegas coming up. Also, you can get tickets to my comedy special taping. You can get them now. They are linked. Go to my Instagram, Ray
February
Bradley.
1st, we're filming our special. You guys want to come? It's going to be here in LA. Come spend a couple days in LA. Come see the special. Also, go to the website, subscribe to the podcast and the Armageddon updates. We split it up so we don't just
Where
blob off
can they
around.
see you?
You can find me on John_Henson at Twitter.com if you're into righteous indignation.
Yes.
And I've got a show airing right now on Food Network. Halloween Baking Championship just premiered. The new season just premiered Monday night.
With kids?
No. This is adults.
Amazing show to watch on the step mill at the gym. I came home and I was like, hey, I just watched I haven't heard you yet, but you speak well based on the captioning.
It's a lot of fun. The show's a lot of fun. This is my 3rd season doing it. We just had the highest premiere numbers in the show's history. I think we were top 11 in all of cable on Monday night, and the top 6 shows were sports. So it's one of these things where I was like, nobody watches Food Network.
Cooking?
Yes,
fucking everybody watches. I didn't realize people put that shit on and
it's because
wallpaper.
What's happening everywhere else on TV, I'm like, please give me Hallmark or Food Network. I'm 85 years old.
Or American Pickers.
Dude, you will appreciate
American
this.
Pickers is Prozac.
Years ago, my agent goes, do you want to host this Halloween Baking Championship on Food Network? And I go, I don't know what's it called. And she goes, Halloween Baking Championship. I go, yeah, man, catchy title. I'm in. Falls right off the tongue.
Perfect. Guys, thanks for watching the podcast, listening to it on Pandora and where you get your podcast. For myself, Bombshell Ray, and Mr. John Henson.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Peace out.
Say goodbye.
Oh, where
am
am I?
Style, right here, right into the mic.
Oh, this? Goodbye.
Hey guys, it's Titus for the Titus Podcast. Hey, thanks for listening and thanks for watching on YouTube. One more thing, subscribe to get the weekly Armageddon updates. Also, go to Butcher Box. Also, check out Combustion Speedwear. And if you want to see any of my specials, go to ChristopherTitus.com. Thanks again, guys.